Hey, everybody, it's Steve D at Xtreme Lyfe. Today on the show, I have pro MMA heavyweight Kory, the monster Moegenburg. He is an awesome guy, man. We have a pretty good conversation. We talk about his fights, his fight career, what got him interested, how he came into being a pro fighter, his amateur career. We talk about his jiu-jitsu training over the years. He's been training jiu-jitsu a long time. He's also a striker. He was a wrestler in high school. Just a really cool conversation. So please check it out. Awesome. Enjoy the show. And here's Bruce Buffer.
On behalf of your host, Steve D, this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtreme Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
We finally got it.
Oh, yeah, that was work.
It's all right, man. No worries, man. Where are you at the gym? You look like you're at the gym now.
Yeah, I went over to Grace Place. That was a better scenery than my house. So I made sure I come back here.
Cool, man.
I was training jiu-jitsu over at Guardian.
Okay, cool, man. Cool.
Here.
Yeah, so you're training hard, getting ready. I know you got a fight coming up. I'm sorry?
Next Friday.
Next Friday, man. All right, so you ready?
Sure.
Feel good?
Yes, sir. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock.
You ready to kick ass on it? And
I'm bringing it. You know what I mean? Go to hometown turf and take what's mine.
Yeah. And you're a heavyweight fighter. I mean, you guys got some power to you. I know you study jiu-jitsu as well. So tell me a little bit about your backstory, man. How did this all get going? And where do you come from on this?
Well, my name is Kory Moegenburg. I wrestled through school, and then I ended up wrestling a little bit in college. When I was in high school, I heard some dudes were training MMA, so I went to a party, and that's where I met my who contacted you, Josh Shepard. Okay. They told me come back tomorrow if you want to learn some kickboxing, and you probably didn't think I was really gonna take him up on it. But back then, we didn't have a lovely establishment like this. We had a shed with puzzle piece. And it's lucky none of us killed each other. You know what I mean? Because it's not like the puzzle piece you have in the nice gym. It was, you're lucky, we had some, puzzle piece on the walls. And, our space was like fighting in a phone booth. You know what I mean? So when you're sparring, you can't back up, at all. You know what I mean? You're in your face 24/7.
Yeah.
So, so I started doing a lot of kickboxing there. And then, eventually, I thought I didn't need anything else because I was a pure wrestler. I don't really need the striking.
Yeah.
I learned how to throw a jab, learned how to throw a kick or that, And one day he's like, I wasn't thinking about fighting. I was just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want to fight this weekend? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, you scared? And I'm like, no, I ain't scared. He's like, well, I'm telling you you're ready. And I'm like, I'm not ready. And then, before you know it, he'd run his mouth. All right, I know you're scared. It's okay. You don't have to. So that so I fought that weekend.
Sounds like you were coerced a little bit on.
Oh yeah, they talk crap. Oh, you're scared. No, they ain't doing it. All right, you're signed up. You're gonna fight.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I remember at that fight, it went to decision. I just got a takedown, got side control, and I through some, didn't really have much training. They're just a wrestler, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought I could just live with that. And then before I know it, I fight again and again, you know what I mean? It's just for fun. And then, eventually after training there for a long time, I was a, 205 True Revelation MMA champion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super heavyweight Muay Thai champion as amateur. I've been down, and then I went down to Florida and been trained there for almost 10 years on purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out of the Academy of Pensacola. And, a divorce happened. I'm back here and I'm back with, these people, Josh and his wife, they're like family to me, through growing up, no matter what was going on, they always had my back. They always believed in me and I wouldn't be anywhere or even the man I am without them. Because back then I was a timid kid, bullied, picked on, I would, like it even changed my wrestling. when you start, sparring and stuff, and then your ass whooped, and eventually one day you're like, fuck this. I'm not letting down. Let's throw back. Let's just not take it beaten.
Yeah.
So then when I started wrestling that way with that mentality that you're not whooping my ass, I'm doing the ass whipping here. Fuck, like, no way, I'm done with this. When I change that around, and then you get a couple wins there, you may get a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And that's, in my time of training, there's a time where I thought I was the best. And when you think you're the best, you get closed-minded. You're not willing to learn things outside what your realm.
Yeah.
And then, So if they wouldn't have got me into doing Muay Thai and kickboxing, I would have thought I could out-grapple everyone. Because I went from wrestling to striking, and then I went to jiu-jitsu gym in Florida, and I thought I was the best grappler on earth, and got mangled by some good jiu-jitsu players that are much smaller than me. And I was like, all right, I'm staying here. I'm learning this shit.
Ain't that frustrating when somebody that's like half your size taps you out like every time they touch you? It's like
it makes you realize that, like, even me, so I'm a bigger guy, the technique and skills they have is such on another level. Because when you're bigger, you're stronger. I can rely on being heavy, big, strong, my attributes. Those little guys, they don't got all that, man. So their skill has to be fine-tuned.
Oh, yeah.
So I love learning from someone that's a very small grappler. There's some things that work and some things you won't work from you, but you can find some fine details in what they do to help your game, definitely.
Yeah, and do you find sometimes with those guys, it's almost like they've learned over time for a guy like, I'm not a small guy either. I'm 205. You're a bigger guy than me a little bit, but the fact of the matter is you find that these smaller guys sometimes learn how to use your weight against you. Like, it's frustrating. Becomes a deficit with them,
especially when a little man that's half your weight is in high mount, and you're like, this isn't right, man. This isn't right.
How the hell is this happening to me? Right? Yeah.
The baddest dude I've ever rolled with, man. He was a check map black belt, 125, 135, nasty. I'm talking about jump, flying triangles, all kinds of crap. And I never forget my woman. I've been doing this jiu-jitsu about 8 years, and so I go in a gym. I roll a pearl belt, black belt. I do decent. Yeah. This dude mangled me so bad. My woman's like, "Dang, man, you." Like, what happened? Like, why did this happen to you? I'm like, you don't understand, man. He's good. He's like a 125. He's like, come harder, train hard, Brazilian. I'm like, man, I'll never forget. Just mangled, just left there like I never trained jiu-jitsu in my whole life. Yeah. There's levels, the black belt levels, the pearl, there's levels to it for sure.
There's a whole bunch of levels to this game, right? And that's one thing I talked to a lot of people, and over the years, I've talked to some guys that have been around a long. I mean, I had an interview. I talked with Ken Shamrock not that long ago, and he talks about it used to be back in the day you can be a one-dimensional fighter in MMA. You can come out, and actually that's what UFC actually started with. It was like the wrestler against the jiu-jitsu guy, or the striker against the wrestler, or that was their big sell at one point, and you could be that, but it's evolved so much that you cannot be that one-dimensional fighter anymore. You have to be good at everything. You have to be a good striker, you have to be a good ground person. I mean, whether it's wrestling or any other art, but you have to have a ground game. Well,
yeah, well, these kids these days, man, there's some kids, I don't even want to talk about what they almost got me for. If I wasn't bigger, stronger, I'm talking about little girls that been doing it since birth. They have me in a triangle, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to power out of this. This ain't happening today.
I am not tapping. It's not going to happen.
There's some good pearl belt girls, I'm like, I'm never going back in your guard. Not for anything. No.
Well, I always tell, I love jujitsu for females. I think it's just a great art for them. Especially females and I mean, everybody should learn it, obviously, but females, the way the world is today, I mean, you get some asshole guy trying to play games, you put him in an arm bar once and that's or catch him in a triangle. He ain't going to try no stupid shit no more, No. So
yeah, what he thinks will work won't work when it comes to the real.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great self-defense and all kinds of, and I always said the reason I like studying jujitsu is because most fights, even a real fight, which I luckily don't have to get into in most of my life. But if it were to happen, most of them end up on the ground. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even know what to do. They don't even know what a takedown is, or they get put on their back. They don't know anything. You have a whole arsenal, a toolbox of tools that do, but you're only going to go to your very basic, control them.
Yeah, that's all you're going to need to do, right? I mean, jiu-jitsu, I think, is an art for self-defense, so you don't have to hurt somebody.
Absolutely.
I think that's, kind of, you get good at that. And you don't really have to take it to that point. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. And that's always a good way to go.
Yeah. I used to think the self-defense part of like the Gracie programs was dumb. So I was just a combat, I went from wrestling straight into kickboxing. So when I went to like a Gracie gym, they do self-defense twice a week. And I used to think it was dumb. And I thought I was better than everyone in actual rolling. Yeah. And then when I realized the benefits of the self-defense aspect, it isn't just skills, it's just being aware of your surroundings, the very basic, they grab my wrist, the very simple, basic things to you say, especially if you're a little girl or something getting pulled, knowing how to, handle wrist control and take away wrest control could solve a lot of problems. Other than, say a girl gets her wrist grabbed and her only response is a sucker puncher, then it's a whole situation compared to I can instantly wrist control back and there's, they don't know I did anything aggressive, it's passive aggressive.
Well, yeah. And it's, and some of the, you go into judo and certain things like that, you get into those martial arts where it's all about using the weight and the momentum, right? So you get, actually a bigger opponent. Sometimes that's a bad thing for them because you generally can use that stuff against them.
It's like even bigger guys, they don't move as good as little guys. You know what I mean? So a big guy, he gets put to a certain position. His body just don't move that well,
Exactly. Oh yeah. I actually I got in that situation a while back because I was rolling with another guy who was a pretty big guy and didn't realize, his mobility was not really great, when it came to, and I got him in an arm bar and I didn't even realize it, but he tapped, but like at that point, I pulled him to a point where I thought, okay, most people can go here, but he was screwed up for a few days from that. And I didn't, like I said, I hate that. I hate being the person that does that to somebody, but it's, like I said, sometimes that happens and I didn't realize how the mobility in that particular arm was compromised, so.
I think I realized, when you say training and how you roll with people, it's different if they're a hobbyist or someone that's, very passionate in jiu-jitsu. They roll all the time. They roll hard. There's some people that, they just roll real, they could be older. They could be younger. They're not at that same level as you and you have that competitive edge that you have, you know what I mean? So they're just not there.
Yeah. I mean, they're like we talked about, right? There's all kinds of levels to this. I always say there's a difference between an athlete who, as you said, the hobbyist or the person like even training, like weight training. I come from a long background of weight training, things like that as well. And it's, there's a difference between competitive training and training just to look good at the beach, right? Or training to be in shape or training to be physically fit. That's a different animal. You're talking about physical fitness. You could train 45 minutes to an hour a day, 5 days a week, and you'd be as long as your diet's cleaned up, you can be pretty fit. When you're competitive training, that's a whole other animal. You're doing AM, PM, you're doing, all kinds of different, you're putting hours in to get that stuff right. Cause you're training skill, you're training, not just to be the fit, you're not just training fitness, you're training skill levels, strength conditioning, you're doing everything. And that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah. It's absolutely, someone could be very strong, but they don't know how to use that strength. It's pointless.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was checking out your, you got a pretty impressive, you could tell as I looked at your amateur record, I was like, wow, this guy's definitely a jiu-jitsu guy because you got like chokes and, I think I see, what was it? Let's see, I think you had a triangle in here somewhere. You have a whole bunch of cool, like I said, you can tell you're a jiu-jitsu guy, but you also have some, you have a striking background too, which is what you need, right? I mean, that's the stuff you need in this game. But I was watching one of it's on YouTube. If I can pull it real quick. Oh, Andrew Potter.
He got choked. He got hung. He got hung. Look at his feet dangling. He got hung. Yeah,
he got choked pretty damn good. And actually, I want to talk to you about this. This is an interesting. Hang on, I'm gonna pull it up. All right, can you see that?
Of course, yes.
All right, so here it comes. That is nasty, man.
It's about to get worse. I'm about to make it much, much worse right here with this change in my grips.
Yeah, you went to the. Yep. Look, he doesn't. Yeah, he would. If you watch that for a second, he looked like he was like thinking, okay, I may not have to tap, but then all of a sudden there was that panic set in, right? like, oh shit, I'm in a bad spot. I need to get out of that.
And the kind of torque I had on that, you want to tap. It's not nice. It's not a clean choke. I am smashing the piss out of his windpipe, everything. It's a nasty choke.
Well, you can see where you switch the grip and it just gets worse, because then you kind of loosened up for a second, almost looked like you were going to kind of lose it, but then you just tightened back up around the elbow and then kind of had that grip around the back and that just sealed it up for you.
Absolutely. It's nasty. Every time I'm like, you ever seen a guillotine? I'm like, this is the nastiest guillotine you ever seen. Because look at the dude's legs.
They're hanging. He's off the damn ground, dude.
Yeah, he's getting a home.
So I said, whenever I have an interview, I usually I try to find some tape. I try to find some stuff to watch and kind of get prepared a little bit. And when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, we got to talk about this. That was a nasty guillotine, man, because it was just like, and one of the, I would say it's probably one of the worst ones I've seen where you actually had somebody off the ground with their legs hanging there. That's some nasty stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of animosity with that fight. That dude had talked a lot of crap on the internet. Had threatened to come to my house, all kinds of drama. Had punched a woman I was seeing at the time. He's really? Just a bad cat. Yeah, we got in a fight backstage. He pushed the girl I was with. Then I seen him somewhere else. We got into it again, man. He's leveled out a lot now. They say people that know him, he's a better guy now than he ever was. But the things he said, he can get it again any day of the week. You know what I mean? There's no love.
No love.
No. It's
so there were no. What you're saying is there were no hugs at the end of that fight.
Hell no. I wish you wouldn't have tapped. I wanted him to go night.
Yeah. Well, hey, you were close. Like I said, you saw the hand on the one side start to he was thinking about tapping, and then he just changed his mind. He said no, and then the other hand he just tap because he got. At that point, he realized I'm in some shit here that I'm not getting out of, and I'm going to go to sleep. I usually tell people I could always tell when I'm about to, if I'm in a choke, and I could tell, I'll fight it for a while, but once I start feeling that little waviness in my head, I'm like, you know what? Time to tap before I go to sleep. Because
you ever been put to sleep?
Yeah, I have. It's a strange, because you don't even realize what the hell you wake up. You're like, what the fuck just happened?
Twice it ever happened to me, like in grappling, all with the lapel. But back first when I was new to the gi, I was like, I'm good. Out, woke up. What happened? Yep, I'll never forget it. Twice.
That's why I don't roll gi, man. I only do no gi. I don't do any gi work. I love no gi more than anything. That's my bread and butter. I've been wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I even teach no gi, here at Grace Place and at Guardian Jiu-Jitsu. You know what I mean? So I love no gi. Because people can get those dang stupid grips, man. And it's very annoying. You eventually learn to peel them off, but it saves a lot of people from getting choked. It definitely does. Yeah. No, it's like I said, the gi work. I just always look at it from a practical sense. It's like, that's not going to happen in a real life situation. I'm not going to be in a gi and the other person's not going to be in a gi. If something's going if I'm in a bad situation. So I just
know a lot of people that won't roll no gi. They're too scared that they don't want none of that fire. They're like, no, I need the gi. I'm good. It's no gi day. They're like, where are they at? You want to train gi? You want to train gi, bro?
Yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Like I said, it's just not for me.
All the time. You got to train gi because there's most places it's gi oriented. So you have to do the gi if you want to get more training session. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's fortunately, the place I go all in jiu-jitsu here in New Jersey, and I've trained a little bit here and there. I bounce around a little bit. Fortunately, there's a lot of really high level places around this area.
I I trained at 10th Planet Mobile for about a year and a half, 2 years, just,
Okay.
'cause it's more aerated to be no-gi to that, you know what I mean? But that's why I was a blue belt for almost 5.5, 6 years, because I jumped to this gym, to that gym. I was never in one spot for long enough.
You never were there long enough. So you're probably equivalent to a much higher belt.
Oh, yeah.
Never able to.
It's really upsetting when you see guys that started after you, when you say you were a high blue belt, and they were a white belt when they started, and they're brown belt, black belt. And I'm like, I hate you, but I love to go roll with them. I have some animosity for them. Like, oh, you got this nice belt? Yeah. I'll show you what's up.
Well, it's like all belts aren't created equal, right? You got to remember that, you can have a black belt. It depends on where you got it, who was your trainer, what you did, I've seen people get, it's kind of crazy since the pandemic, but there was somebody, I'm not going to name names, but they were doing belts online. It's like, how the hell do you train people online in jiu-jitsu and then belt people? It's like, I just don't see it. How the fuck does that happen?
When I first started, I was totally against the gi, right? So I go to gyms that were jiu-jitsu gyms. And I remember when I was a no stripe, didn't train gi at all. And I had purple belts that shouldn't be purple belts. Now that I'm purple belt, I know they are purple belt. I'm like, you don't deserve that. You know what I mean? You got handed the belt. Back when I started training, you know what I mean? There was a different world to how jiu-jitsu has become.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's a whole other, I think jiu-jitsu has come a long way in itself, as well as, when you get into MMA, you look at all the martial arts and just the popularity. I was just talking with Ray Longo. I don't know if you know who Ray is, but Ray's probably one of the best striking coaches in the world. And he's he trains with, Team Sarah Longo, Matt Sarah,
awesome.
All that. And I was talking to Ray and Ray, even said, it's like that. You get to that point where it's, I'm trying to remember my point. I lost my point because I was explaining something else. But no, the striking and the jiu-jitsu. It's like when he started, he heard about jiu-jitsu, right? Or he was already had his gym open. He heard about jiu-jitsu, and guy said, "Hey, come check it out." And there was this jiu-jitsu gym down the street from him, and he used to send his students there just because it's like the guy had nobody in there. And now, since the UFC and since all this stuff, and the Gracies and all this, it's become very popular. It's like now it's like the place is jammed. I mean, you got like 16 jiu-jitsu gyms in that area, and it's like they're all jammed with people, which is crazy. It's cool, that it's become so popular and a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah, definitely. When I first started, it is a hard game to get anyone to want to come roll with, do jiu-jitsu, learn grappling, do any kind of grappling, because they were against it. The striking was the thing. Striking was cool.
Yeah. Well, that's it, and that's, like I said, Longo has been around forever. Law MMA, it's actually Ray Longo and Chris Weidman, their gym, and they've been around for forever. And like I said, he just basically told me that at the beginning there was nobody really wanting to do jiu-jitsu. It just was nothing. And then all of a sudden, it became very popular, and people started realizing that it was something that's a really outstanding martial art to get involved in. And and then it's one of those things that you either fall in love with or you don't, right? So
it takes some time, because you know how it is when you first start. Everyone whoops you. You
get a lot
down all the time, and you feel like you know nothing. Then one day something clicks. You're like, oh, I know something. Then someone takes it away. You're like, all right, I know nothing again.
Well, that's it. It's like you feel like you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's the process. Someone said to me a while back, he said, what do you say? He said, if you're a white belt, just keep rolling until it turns black. That's it. That's what you got to keep doing. You just got to keep doing it. It's only a matter of time. You just got to keep
like some gyms, man. I know people that have been white belts for years. I was a white belt only a year, but I trained 4 times a week, twice a day for a whole year straight, and got a blue belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same gym.
Yeah. Well, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. A lot of commitment and a lot of, effort and training, So this fight coming up, man, what's your prediction here? What do you think?
He's a wrestler. He's a 4-time state wrestler out of Omaha, Nebraska. Okay. So he's put down, I think, 2 people with some hooks. I think he's only had 3 or 4 fights and went pro. So I believe that I believe the more I get out of the first round, the more my striking is going to open up. I think he's going to be big. He's going to be strong. He's going to be trying to take me down. He's not as soon as he realized he can't hurt me with his, his out the gate, and I start, get comfort and start landing some kicks, punches, and make sure I don't let him catch a kick. So he's not going to shoot. He's too big to be shooting. He's going to be trying to take me down off that cage, trying to press me. So I just need to try to avoid the takedown because, great at jiu-jitsu, but I do not want to sit below some guy that has good pressure. But his jiu-jitsu game, I think, I hate to say, but I think he's terrible. He's terrible. I think I don't think he has, I think he's a white belt on the floor, but he's a big, strong guy. So, a lot of things I think may work ain't going to work. And I need to be ready to, I think it's a better game plan to look for the striking. If he gives me something, a submission's there or something, take it. But, more or less, not trying to sit on my back. I'm looking to strike, defend a takedown. And then if something opens up and I see it, let's get him out of there.
Yeah. No, that's a great plan, especially a guy who is really big and could put a lot of pressure on the ground.
The only plus him being big, I'm not even 5'10". This would be the shortest guy I've ever fought. He's still taller than me. He's 5'11". Everyone I fight 6 foot, 6'2". You know what I mean? So when they said he's 5'11", I'm like, oh my God, because everyone I spar with is 6'2", 6'3", and you know what I mean? So I have to do a lot of energy to try, especially striking, to get on the inside. I mean, I can't. If I sit on the outside, I'm gonna get blasted. So I have to use a lot of energy, to get myself on the inside to land strikes. So it's gonna be a much different game for me to be able to land strikes. But also him being, close to my height, I think he'll be looking to, get those double unders, looking to pressure me, and looking for a takedown.
Yeah, and that's that's the plight of a heavyweight, right? Because you're a heavyweight division.
Yep.
That's the problem if you're like me, I'm 5'10" as well, and I'm 205, and I'd be light heavyweight if I was to fight, but I wouldn't fight at this weight. I would fight at 185 because that would be guys more my height. Because everybody at 205 is like 6 foot something. Everybody at 225, or in that heavyweight division is up in that, over 6 foot as well. And that's a hard, unless you're on the ground, that's a really hard obstacle to overcome.
Yeah. Usually I fight, I used to fight 85 and 205. My buddy was going to take this fight, right? And then he had a night fight before it. So he was not going to, it wasn't going to work out for him to be able to take the fight. And, just in case something happens in the fight he was taking. And I was like, fuck, man, if the money's right, I'd fight that guy. I train with heavyweights. I train with some dudes that are 400 pounds. You know what I mean? The money route, I'll take that fight. So fight fell through. He's like, hey, you will take that fight? I said, the money's right. Hey, the money's right. I said, let's run it. You know what I mean? I'll fight anyone, anywhere. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? Let's run it. Money's right. Let's go. It's a hobby. It's fun. I love it. I love every aspect of the sport, striking, grappling, everything. I love everything about it.
Well, it sounds like it, man. It sounds like you really love the game, and it's it's definitely good for you, right? So it's it's something. It's better than getting out. I always tell my wife, it's better than getting in trouble.
Well, absolutely. And, I was never even the best wrestler in school. So when I started doing MMA, and being able to win, I'll never forget the guys that were like the best wrestlers in school. They never talked to me in the hallways. They thought they're better than me. And then I win, 6, 7 fights. Like, hey man, can I train you? I'm like, fuck you. You know what I mean? No, bro. You can't train. You can come down and train. Yeah, bro. You come down and train. Oh, I'm whooping this ass today. You know what I mean? Oh, it's going down. I'm waiting all day. I'm like, I hope he really comes.
Now, where are you guys located? You're because we were having some issues with our timing, right? Because I was like, we set the time and I didn't realize you were an hour behind us. Because I'm on the East Coast.
I'm in Ottumwa, Iowa.
Okay, so you're you're in Ottumwa, Iowa. So you're in Central Time.
Yeah.
So okay. So are you watching? I'm sure you are, right? UFC 273. What do you?
I don't miss any fights. I watch them all. My girlfriend probably gets annoyed because it's fight day. She's like, what are we doing? And I'm already, the prelims start early in the day and it's all the way to the fights are over. And I'm I'm paying tune to all kinds. That's why even when you start training, the fights even get better because when you start understanding what's going on just a little bit, you're like, oh, I know that. Oh, he needs to do this. And it's really awesome to watch and see things, put in motion. You can kind of even learn from what you're seeing, because you have a better idea what's going on.
Well, that's what I love. Like, I'll go to a lot of events. Like I'm going to CFFC 107. There's a bunch of different events that I'm working and covering and doing things on this year. But the fact of the matter is, it's like I hear people all the time. It's like, stand them up, stand them up. I'm like, no, they're not going to. Don't stand them up. I'm watching this game here because it's a great. If you knew what you were seeing, and that's the thing. And you just explained that perfectly. It's like, since you're a fighter, you're a jiu-jitsu guy, when there's guys on the ground rolling, some people are like, they're bored by it because they don't understand what the hell's going on. But for somebody like yourself, you're looking at it going, all right, it's the chess match, and this person has to move this person has to move that. All right, are they going to goad him they're going to go for a Kimura, but that's just a setup for the choke. So it's like, you can understand what's happening there. And it's kind of interesting. Sometimes you hear people in the back going, yeah, stand them up. And I'm like, no, they're not. As long as they're working on the ground, they shouldn't be stood up.
Especially when you start understanding what's going on, when you see it all put together, it really is a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's there to watch. Really high level grappling is friggin' phenomenal. I just love, I'd rather watch that a lot of times than the striking, to be honest.
So how do you feel about Gordon Ryan versus Andre Golovkin?
Oh, I don't.
Did you just see that one? Did you just see him go to that draw with that one? And Gordon saying he's a purple belt at best.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. But wow, yeah. I'm like looking at UFC right now, and I'm kind of looking at. I'm waiting for the rematch between Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling.
He didn't really win that fight. He got lucky. He was getting his ass whooped.
Well, Aljo, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that Aljo. I think he wasn't doing really well in that fight. That's for sure. He was not on the good side of that fight. I know for a fact he's been training his ass off for this one.
I'd hope so. I'd hope so.
And is ready to roll. I mean, he's rolling with Marab. He's got a lot of people he's training with, and because they're right here. They're at Law MMA. They're at
okay.
Yeah, they're right up in Long Island, and I know he's been trained. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping. I'm biased to him because he's at a law. So I like to see those guys win, but. Like I said, I'm also a realist, and I do know that last fight wasn't going so well for him until that happened. I like Sterling. I have nothing against him whatsoever. You know what I mean? But if you watch the fight, you're like, okay, you know what I mean? Then you see all the critics, and you're like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, no, I know. Like I said, he was not doing well up until, at least at my opinion. There may be other opinions on that.
I'm biased too. I have a guy fighting after kickboxing a couple months back. And he got dropped. I'm like, ref, that's a slip. He's like, no, they ain't no slip. Come on, man. He's like, no, bro. Look, just give me that. I'm like, no, come on, man.
He got taken out. Yeah.
So I'm definitely understand the bias.
Yeah, no, I'm a realist though. I'm a realist. Like I said, he was not doing well in that fight. I don't think he was winning that fight. And I think that knee, that knee was awful too, though. You go at that was a blatant, that was just you can't do that. Everybody knows you can't do that.
But I think the animosity is, I think his corners was yelling knee, they took it to the next step. They definitely didn't mean right. They definitely didn't mean it that way. I'm sure they didn't.
Oh, no. But it was like I said, I think the ref did the right thing. There's just a lot of controversy around that. So hopefully, and this is what I've been waiting for, because I think to really, really get to that point where you're the legitimate champ, you have to play that back. You have to run that one back. And basically now if you beat Jan now and you beat him in the fight, it goes to, wherever it goes, you take him out and then you're really, undisputed at that point. In my opinion, there's no controversy there. And then there's Alexander Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. So I think that's going to be another. I don't think the Zombie's going to win this, but
I was praying Brian Ortega choked him. I was praying. Yeah. I don't, just because of tough. I don't like him. I don't like the champion at all.
Yeah. Well,
I like Brian Ortega, but he's from the Hinner, Gracie, you know what I mean? So I do like Brian Ortega a lot.
Yeah. No doubt. But it
was close, man.
Yeah, it was. I
was jumping up. I'm like, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. Done. And then it don't happen. My girlfriend, I thought you said it was a done deal. I'm like, dang, I hate being wrong.
All right, man. Well, listen, you're gonna kick ass at this fight. Best of luck. Where can people watch it?
It's going to be on MMAfutures.com.
Okay, MMAfutures.com. So we'll make sure that we get that out there. I'll post that with the podcast so that people can watch it. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be checking it out. There's a lot of times if I'm home, I'll have like 2 or 3 TVs going at the same time, watching different events. Or if I'm out, I'll be watching the event I'm at and watching something else on my phone. So I'm usually doing multitasking, trying to check out multiple events at the same time, or I play it back later. But, hey, best of luck, man. Is there any promotion, anything you want to throw out there? Any sponsors, anything like that you want to throw out?
Like anyone who wants to follow me and follow my content and all my update and fight stuff, you follow me on Instagram, Monster MMA 185. And also, I want to, if I didn't have this amazing gym and the amazing people I have to work with at Grace Place and also at Guardian Jiu-Jitsu here in Judo here in Tumble, Iowa, I'd be, nowhere. But, I could shout out a bunch of sponsors, but these are definitely the 1-2 that if they weren't here, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So that's what I'm going to say.
Well, that's the family, right?
They're my ride or die.
Yeah.
Whatever ever happens in life, they're there for me. You know what I mean? They've really impacted and changed my life. It made me into a strong human being. And I really appreciate everyone that's helped me develop to the person I am today.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, listen, I want to have you on again down the road a little bit. Let you get your fight done and we'll talk again. And I'll tag you in the post when this goes up so that you can share it. Awesome. And, best of luck, man. Awesome. You're a great.
Been a blast. Thank you so much.
Been fun talking.
Absolutely.
Right, be good.
Thank you.